and it can be disconcerting because we need certainty as a physical being. And so I guess we're going to start. I'm just going to kind of keep talking as you gather in. And I think we're already live. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I'd like you to think about that for a minute. Like, what is certain? What is really certain? What do you know to be true all the time? And if we really examine that, there's very little that's certain or that doesn't change. We never really know from one minute to the next what might actually happen. And so it's that kind of vulnerability and also that poignancy that really allows and also asks us as humans to find something that is really certain. And our nervous systems need to have some sort of certainty in order to feel safe. So, and we've been talking a lot about this over the course of, the last few months, especially with the pandemic. And I really feel like in order for us to feel safe, we have to remember that the only true certainty is what I feel in here. And the only true control I have is what I do with what's in here. And so a lot of chaos can go on out there, and it will. And civilization and humanity has been dealing with chaos and uncertainty since, the Big Bang, because the nature of nature is to change, and it's always going to be changing. There's always going to be fluctuations in it. But in the yoga tradition and in the Buddhist tradition, we talk about these two aspects of what we are. So part of us is this physical aspect that is subject to change. We're part of nature. Our bodies are going to age. Every day we wake up in a different new body. But what doesn't change is this other aspect over here, and that could be considered the soul or the seed self or the essence of who and what you are. And as you know, and if you really thought about it for a minute, you could go back to your childhood and you'd be right there. You're still you. You could go to when you went to college or whatever, and you're still the same you. I mean, clearly you may have evolved and developed things, but the essence of you is still the same. And you still see through these same eyes. And this is the piece of real poignancy for us as mindful practitioners, because it's that piece that you're tapping into. It's that Purusha, that everlasting soul self, kind of unmitigated or unfettered by external world things. It doesn't change. It may respond and be affected by those things, but it doesn't change. And so that's what we want to tap into. And I'll add to that by saying that in the traditions, the Eastern traditions, particularly Buddhism and yoga, we view that part of ourselves as this pristine, absolutely unscathed aspect of our soul. Parts of us are going to be affected all through our lives by external circumstances, but a part of us will never be. And that part of you is the part that you are tapping into when we go into mindfulness. And I know some of you, and for the last few weeks, a lot of our sessions have been focusing around, looking at these emotions or these thoughts or these things that are kind of sometimes maybe difficult to look at. And those are changing too. They're always changing. However, some of our patterns of thinking are going to be habitual because we had developed defense mechanisms way long ago to protect that essential self from, being or just to protect essentially. And so we develop these defense mechanisms to feel safe. And so those defense mechanisms get somewhat entrenched. And then we believe we're the defense mechanism. So what we're doing in mindfulness is we're trying to actually see all that kind of that dross, if you will, the soot or the kind of the stuff that's clouding up the light of our soul, and we're shining it off. We're getting rid of those things, those patterns, those beliefs, and those ways of talking to ourselves that are really habitual and probably not serving us anymore, and somewhat reactive or defense orientated. So it's kind of as simple as that, but of course it's not that simple. But in any case, that's what we're doing. And I really, I want to emphasize so much how, you doing this work is giving you the capacity to create space and freedom, and that it will come. It really will. And the more you observe some of these difficult emotions or thoughts that you have, and the more you recognize them just as such, that they're this changing, kind of landscape of defense mechanisms, of ideas, or whatever, as Tara Brach calls it, the trance of unworthiness. Because so much of what we, habitually think is these patterns of falling, I'm falling short, I'm not good enough, I can't do this well, this mindfulness is just another thing that I feel like I can't do. And so that trance of unworthiness is that pattern of thinking. And the more we can kind of see it, like the cartoon character, it's got the bubble outside of its head, like those are your thoughts over there, and they're just going to go on, unless you bring them into awareness, unless you see them for what they are. And as the Buddha said, when we, even the shamans talk about this, when we identify something and we can just hold space with it with this compassionate heart, we can allow it to release, and it can be seen for what it is. And we don't get pulled under by the undertow of that wave of that current of thinking. The Swamiji says, you need to learn to ride the waves, surf the waves of thoughts, rather than getting pulled under by them. We need to ride on top and see them for what they are. So with that in mind, we're going to move into our practice today. And my intention and my thoughts as we kind of move toward maybe ending this segment of mindfulness or whatever, who knows, we might get more funding and go on more, whatever. But in any case, because we've kind of come to 2 weeks, my real sincere hope and my invitation to you is to really bring this compassionate concept of self-kindness into your day, into your practice today, right now, and into the next couple weeks before we meet again. And so anytime there's a negative self-talk, or you're feeling, a little bit not connected and a little bit disorientated, please try and come back to just this simple concept that I am whole and complete as I am right now. And, you could, encourage yourself, with loving kindness and this meta heart, meta kindness of just holding space for where you are right now in the moment, and not having to think that it needs to be changed, because we're not about changing what's going on. We're about really befriending it. And as Rumi said, if we can allow every guest that enters our mind to be a guest that we welcome and that we just recognize as a guest, a thought, an emotion, a feeling, a transient state of being, and that they're all guests, and that if you were, in your house, you would welcome a guest, and you would let them sit, but you're not going to fall into their lap. That's not the idea. You're still not the guest. You're observing that guest. So from there, with a lot of loving kindness, we'll move into our practice today. So allow yourself to find your dignified seated position, and bring yourself into a nice resting state there. And we'll just shrug up our shoulders and bring them up toward our ears with an inhale. And then exhale the upper arm bones back, and then allow the arm bones and the elbows to slide down as the shoulder blades drape down the back. And we could do that again. Inhale, exhale the arm bones back, and relax the elbows and the shoulder blades down the spine. Good. And then resting your palms in your lap and allowing yourself to bring that kind smile of gentle, loving attention as you close your eyes and move into your inner state, your inner landscape. And as you enter into this inner landscape, just allowing your inner eye now to see in the space that you occupy behind your eyes, whatever's there right now. And just taking that stock to feel where you land, to orientate yourself. Maybe noticing your dial from 0 to 10. Where's your energy? Is it a 4, or is it a little higher? Is it up at 5 or 6? And just allow yourself now with your breath to gently bring your dial back down to 4 if it's a little higher. And if it's, lower than 4, you could just allow yourself to bring it up to 4 by bringing attention into your body, into your sensations, and into your feeling state. And as you do so, let's take a few full breaths. Allow yourself to fill the breath into the lungs, into the belly, and let the breath empty and release. Feel as you exhale that invitation of letting go, of relaxing. Repeating that another couple times. As you inhale and connect your body, your mind, and your breath in one space and moment in time. And as you exhale, also connecting the body, the mind, and the breath, and releasing and letting go. And then I'd like to invite you to allow yourself to just notice, with maybe by placing your hands on your belly, or by just noticing your next few breaths, although they're just natural breaths now, we're not increasing the volume or anything, but just notice if you can feel your breath in your belly. And as you're doing that, see if you can notice the various different qualities of that action. As you're breathing, do you notice the feeling, the sensation, perhaps of the cool air coming in, the warm air moving out? Do you notice the rise and the fall of the belly? And with that kind, curious, loving kindness, attention, perhaps to continuing to feel the smile at the outer corners of your eyes. And simply being with the movement of the breath at the belly. Some of you may notice that the movement of the breath at the belly is quite unique to tune into. What is this intelligence that's breathing you? What is this quiver of life that's informing you, keeping you alive? And if the mind wanders, it's fine. Just with that gentle, loving kindness, just bringing it back, or perhaps putting those thoughts, whatever they are, into that little bubble up above you somewhere, noticing them as just thoughts that are just thoughts. Maybe they're judgments. Maybe you're analyzing something about what you're doing. Just noticing as that. If you want to name it, you can. Otherwise, returning just to that sensation and awareness of breath in your belly. Softening the inside of your cheeks, relaxing the outer corners of your eyes. And with that gentle, grandparently like encouragement, just continuing to notice the breath at your belly as you notice your other sensations, thoughts, and feelings. But keeping that anchor of your breath. As the world changes all around us, we need these anchors more and more. And the anchor that we use a lot in mindfulness and in this work is self-compassion. And so feeling into that self-compassion as you breathe gentle breath into your belly, kind of the core of your being at the navel. And then this breath. There's nowhere to go, nothing to change, and just allowing that effortlessness to release and relax you from the having to do thing, having to be something other than what you are right now. Perhaps feeling as you compassionately hold yourself in this place of awareness and acceptance, that we're together with this, that we're doing this all together. Hearing that lovely sound of the seagull and holding your awareness in this place where we're all joined together with this intention of loving kindness and awareness, and feeling the power of that. feeling the power of love and of kindness that you hold for yourself right now as your true state, as your true natural state of being. And then as we begin to allow the practice to naturally move toward its completion, I'd like to invite you to just take a moment or two as we allow the body and the mind and the thoughts to integrate and to complete. Allow yourself to, when you breathe in, just allow perhaps the words calm, and as you breathe out, the word ease. So inhaling to calm and exhaling to ease. And really feel that ease of being. The effortless quality of attention without tension. Calm and ease. And then just allowing for the last moment as you breathe in to just take another full, rich breath or two and breathe into your whole body. And inhale to the fingertips and the toes, filling up your whole container. And exhale, releasing and emptying the container. And as you empty it, just feel the grounding of your spine down into your seat. And again, inhaling, filling the whole container up. And exhaling, emptying from the toes to the nose, feeling your whole body. Calm and ease. So welcome back into the outside world, the inside and the outside. I think it was Albert Einstein that said, amongst many other brilliant things, that we must have involution to have evolution. And, you know, I love to think of things in metaphors, and I think we learn well with metaphors. And for me, the metaphor of as above, so below is really significant, because I do feel that we're all just part of what we of the universe. And it's a yogic view that there's 5 elements, and basically we're made of the same elements as everything else in the universe, and everything essentially is comprised of 5 elements. And as above, so below is really a nice metaphor when, you know, when we're thinking of these practices, because we can, I think, really harness the power of the life force in ways that, as Einstein, you know, said, energy can't be, you know, created nor destroyed. And it really there's two metaphors of Einstein's today. Anyway, I just really, I feel like, we are energy. And so as we recognize more about the fact that, energy is thoughts too, and learning how to control my thoughts is the same thing as learning how to control that river that's, coming, full bore down the mountain, and we need to divert it before it knocks down all the houses. So it's like, we're training the mind to, to not be raging in a certain direction. And our thoughts are very much like the river. And the metaphor of as above, so below is really, very true. We're very much these elements. And the more we can, I think, befriend these truisms of what our true nature is, the more we can deal with some of the adjunct oddities of what human nature is, such as elections and politics and, aspects of personality that get way out there, and a little bit difficult to deal with personality wise. So I won't say anything more about the election than that, but in any case, I think you know what I mean. So the more you have this container in a very solid and just grounded place, the better you will be at managing and handling all of the crazy uncertainty that's going on in our world. And I honestly don't think it's going to go away for a while. So I think the more we can develop these practices and the more we can make them regular, the better off we're all going to be, and the more sane we'll be at the end of the craziness. So welcome to the day after, basically. And it's not the day after yet. And and come on in if you want to make some comments or tell me how your practice has been going or ask any questions. We have a great group today. It's nice to see all your faces.
Thank you, Mary Jo. It's Maureen. Again, it was beautiful. So I didn't understand that this is the last one in the series. And
no, we're still going.
Oh,
yeah. We just every second. Yeah. In 2 weeks we'll be back.
Okay. Oh, so 2 weeks of nothing and then we come back.
No, 1 week of nothing and then we'll be back at calendar. So not on Remembrance Day, but the week after.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you. Well, I'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm Rob Dramer, joining you from the unceded territory of the Katzie people on the Fraser River, and I'm very grateful to be here. My first time.
Oh,
I was
nice.
enjoying it full bolt right into a beautiful space when suddenly the power failed in my house. So thank you for inviting me back in after I got back to the computer.
Oh, that's
So
great.
That was a real space out there. Appreciated the last few comments, and seeing everybody and joining you is a privilege. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Well, welcome, and I look forward to seeing you here again. Thanks for coming. Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
And just as a reminder to everybody, if you are missing the session on the week when we're not here, that you can always watch them on the YouTube channel as well. So you can just go ahead and do it on your own.
Okay.
And I know it's not as good as being live. There's just something about us all being together here in real time. This is, such a potent energy, and we I think really acknowledge that we have a special thing going, and I really appreciate all you being here. So but as Delyn says, in the weeks where we're not here, if you want, that YouTube channel's got a whole bunch of them now, and you can just click it on and close your eyes, and it's almost like being here with everybody. So any questions or any announcements? Anything you have to say? Queries? I had a little story for you. I'll see if I can find it. Go ahead. So there's a little girl and her mother, and um, I can't find it, so I'm just gonna try to say it by memory. And anyway, the girl's drawing a picture, and there's all these tigers in the picture, and the mother comes over and she's like, "Oh my gosh," she says, "there's look at all those tigers. You've got so many tigers." And she says, "What are you gonna do?" And the little girl says, "Stop believing in tigers." Maybe it wasn't quite verbatim, so I'm terrible at retelling jokes. But anyways, for what it's worth, the tiger's not there anymore. So a lot of our repetitive thought patterns are like that. They're tigers that have already, they're 20,000 years old, and we don't really need to get into that reptilian brain of the fight flight mechanism. So that's why we do mindfulness, to keep the tigers at bay.
Cute.
I know our team is also working on, I won't say too much about it, but we are working on the podcast and trying to kind of get a podcast going that also has a mindfulness component to it, so that you can do that on your app or on your device, wherever you are, and you wouldn't have to be tapped into internet. So because I know for some of you, the YouTube channel might be difficult to access if you want to do mindfulness, say, I don't know, maybe somewhere where you don't have connection. So, and YouTube, you have to be on YouTube, of course, to have it work. So that's the one drawback with YouTube, which is why we've decided to go and kind of investigate doing a podcast. So we're working on that, and maybe one of you could be a guest on our podcast at some point in time and talk about your experience of mindfulness. That would be really neat. So keep those thoughts in mind, and without further ado, if you don't have any more questions or comments, I'm going to say thank you for being here, and stay mindful, and stay kind to yourself, and remember that the biggest monkey on your back is your own self-judgment, your own thoughts of unworthiness, and just do them in. They're not real. So you're very worthy and good and great just as you are. So show up here in 2 weeks just as you are, and we'll do some more mindfulness.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Mary Jo.
Thank you.
Lynn.
Ever.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Sonia, I love that color on you.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been wearing this like every day for a while. Now it's nice and warm on the inside too. So yeah, it's my new favorite thing to wear. You'll see it frequently through the winter.
Favorite, that's it. I'm going to be wearing it all the time.
All right. Have a good week, and we'll see you.
Maybe Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. See you soon.